is Bravo making a huge mistake by cutting ties with Jax Taylor and chalking it up to many of the reasons why Jax isn't a great person, but does he make a great villain? And I've spoken out about this before in a couple of videos on TikTok, but not on my podcast or my Patreon, because I am a recovery coach. I spent 3 years in prison, and I work with people that have what's called a dual diagnosis of mental health and addiction issues, which is exactly somebody like Jax Taylor. He has mental health, he has depression. I think they diagnose him with bipolar. And then he has the substance issues as well on top of it. So that's dual diagnosis, right? And I just think that we're making a mistake here. And I know that's not what everyone wants to hear. I understand that. And of course, I'm going to break some of this down for you guys. Obviously, don't condone his behavior. Don't condone any DV if that is the case and that was going on behind the scenes and maybe we weren't exactly privy to that information. I don't know. Is Alex Baskin ruining all of the Bravo shows? I don't know. But I just feel like we're making a mistake here. And I'm going to break it down for you guys. So before we get started, make sure you guys hit the like button, follow, comment your thoughts. I'm going to be doing a series on the Real Housewives of New Jersey and Teresa RHONJ. It's going to probably be on my Patreon, my YouTube, what I can put on YouTube, and my podcast. Some of it's going to be exclusive. It is going to be behind a paywall, so make sure if you're interested in hearing about, what transpired with Teresa and the New Jersey Five, the 5 accounts that essentially were responsible for exposing everything that was going on behind the scenes with New Jersey and essentially exposed, the things Teresa Louie and her attorney were doing, then make sure you guys follow along so I can keep you guys posted on when that series is going to be up and available. Anything in this is, of course, alleged, but let's get into this. So, first of all, getting started, I spoke to you guys before. If we talk about the Valley as a whole, I think it's important to acknowledge that the Valley was something I enjoyed a lot last season, and partially that was because it was nice to have a show that was relatable. And when I say relatable, I mean, Jesse and Michelle were sort of who I was most relatable to. They had their daughter during the pandemic. I had my daughter during the pandemic. They, essentially had gotten to a point where they completely hated one another. Not to get into my personal, circumstances, because that's, of course, not why you guys are here. But I could just relate to a lot of what they were going through as a couple. And it was just, COVID was such a stressful time. And because, when I had my daughter, we were only allowed to have one person in the hospital with us. We were allowed to have one support person. So we kind of were more, the traditional days of having a baby and your whole family coming to see you and there being lots of people in and out of the hospital and lots of people in and out of your home bringing casseroles and, being this really happy, joyful time that you share with, friends and family is not that when you have a baby in the middle of the pandemic, right? In fact, it's the complete opposite. It is you, that baby, and that man, and that's it. And, I don't know. It was nice for me to be able to watch them on television and kind of see what they were going through as a couple, knowing that they had been in the same circumstances that I had, been in with my daughter and my significant other, ex-significant other. But regardless, that was something I really appreciated because the thing about the Bravo Housewives, the Housewives franchises are more of an escape. I'm not over here really relating to people like Sonia Morgan or, Alexia or Teresa J. These are actually the most unrelatable people most of the time, right? We're not, they're supposed to be it's supposed to be a look behind the gates of the wealthy. And so more of an escape, less of a relatable sort of theme, if you will. And so the Valley being obviously, again, in the Valley, not in the Beverly Hills, not in this area that was like so prestigious, like just very much more relatable, much more common, and sort of towards a different demographic, I think, of like people in their 40s and 50s, maybe that have smaller children, something that we don't really see in any of the other franchises. And again, I think this kind of brings me right back to where I was going with the whole Jax situation is when you guys were talking about him going to rehab, and everyone was like, I don't even think he was in rehab. How could he have been in rehab with his cell phone? And he was rage texting and did it, all of this, yada, 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 yada. And the truth of the matter is that Jax Taylor is no different than any other person or addict or recovering addict that I know that's used for 20 or 25 years. It hasn't had barely, a couple of days of not drinking or drugging before they use again. Like, when people like that get sober, they have a flood of emotions that they don't know how to handle. Because, first of all, you have to get them through the physical detox, okay? You have to get through the physical detox. I don't care if you're somebody who drinks coffee every day, if you smoke cigarettes every single day, you're going to have a detox if you could just up and quit, aren't you? I mean, are you going to be in how, hypothetically speaking, ask yourself if you just got up today and didn't have your Dunkin' coffee, or what kind of mood are you going to be in today at work? Are you going to be a little, and then imagine that the next day after that. We live in a society where people won't put the Debbie snacks down. We don't have enough self-discipline to eat healthy and lose weight or quit smoking, but we want to look at people who have these mental health and addiction issues and look at them and say, I don't understand why they can't stop using drugs. What's so hard about it? Why can't they change? What's so hard about it? It's like, what do you, really? I'm laughing because I understand that it's probably not going to be something that everyone can understand, which is why I think it's so important that this is an opportunity to really show Bravo and show the audience, a little bit of a different perspective, like perspection. Like, let Jax Taylor redeem himself a little bit. Let him and Brittany work on a co-parenting relationship that they can showcase to the audience to be like, listen, you can make good with your ex, you can co-parent and have children, and you can still be great parents, and let some of those obstacles play out on screen. I am starting to feel like with Bravo and some of the audience, as soon as they don't like a villain, they don't like somebody, it's like, we got to get rid of him. Got to get rid of him, got to cut him, cut him loose. And it's just not, it's not the way to do a TV show. I think that it's just not. And Jax is not a great person. He's been on drugs and alcohol for the last 25 years. But Brittany does not deserve, of course, she doesn't deserve that. However, you do have to kind of look at the situation as, what was Brittany's role? Was she like joining in on the festivities? Was she enabling the festivities? Like, whatever the case may be, Brittany plays a part too. And so she needs to recognize what that part is so that she can also adapt and move forward with her own life and find her own happiness and find her own, sense of freedom and peace and what have you. But to say that he wasn't in rehab, or that he didn't take rehab serious because he was rage texting, or that he was on